and gentlemen, we welcome you to today's this afternoon's press conference. The purpose of this gathering is to give the UK-based Ghanaian media houses the opportunity to speak to our national chairman, Chairman General Asedu Nketia, who is in London on a party activity. It is an opportunity to understand what is happening in Ghana. We all are aware that our country is currently in crisis, from domestic debt exchange to Gangantuan corruption, Galamsey, and all of that. There is no any other person who is more resourced in these areas, who can speak to these matters than our own venerable national chairman of our party, in the person of Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. And so I'll take this opportunity to welcome him and give him the chance to speak to you. Whatever questions you have, please feel free, ask him, and we'll speak to them. Of course, we all know what General is made up of and what he can do. He has answers to all the questions. You cannot talk about Ghanaian politics without talking about General. That would have been a big mistake. And so, welcome, feel comfortable, and ask your questions. I hand over to General, and then you ask your questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we will not describe this as a press conference. It will be an interaction because I don't have any prepared speech. I just was told that once I'm around, some media houses may wish to interact with me. And so that's why I have come without any prepared speech. So there's no formula. You may wish to ask whatever you want to ask. And then if I have the answers, I'll give you. If I don't have the answer, I'll tell you. But to set the tone, since I'm the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, I guess some of our members here in UK, Ireland, may wish to find out what is happening on our party front. We just completed our National Congress, and that's where I transitioned from your General Secretary to the National Chairman. And we have since then hit the ground running because we don't have time to waste at all. We think that we have to complete all our internal processes like selection of candidates, selection of our leaders, and so on, so we can have sufficient time to prepare for 2024. So our very first National Executive Committee meeting was to establish the ground rules for the impending presidential and parliamentary primaries aimed at selecting our candidates for the two elections. We have since issued guidelines. Maybe some of you may want to ask questions about the guidelines and the very few changes that we have made in the guidelines. Then after that, the current subject is about the reshuffle in Parliament, and so you are free to ask any questions that you may wish to ask. Then on the national front, we are battling with the construction of our National Cathedral and its repercussions. We are battling with the haircuts, about our debts and all that. And then also, we just received the auditor's report on COVID expenditures and so on. So I guess these are the current subjects that we are battling with in Ghana. So some of the issues have also been dealt with by President Mahama at yesterday's event at Chatham House. In fact, that was the main reason of my coming here. So I never prepared to come to UK around this time, but I was invited by President Mahama to join him at the Chatham House lecture. And we'll be going back on Monday to continue the work we have to do in Accra. So once again, good afternoon to you all, and I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you. Oh, what happened?
Anyone want to ask questions? Okay. You want to come? Thank
you. Good afternoon. My name is Jones Ewa from Channel 7 and also Vox Africa. We've seen that there's been some leadership changes in the NDC, and also which some of your members have exhibited their frustrations and disappointment. So I just want to find out, how fragmented is the NDC?
If I can get a piece of paper, so we take about 5 questions at a time.
Sorry, does anyone want to ask anything? Marek, he was telling me if you can ask this in Twi as well. Yes. Do you have a question? Oh, yes, of course. No, yes, yeah.
He can't speak to you, so don't allow him to.
He can, yeah. Go on. No. Okay. Does anyone want to ask a question? Does anyone?
Yes.
Oh, you want to? Yeah, thank you. You want to
come? Chairman, you are welcome.
Thank you very
I want to know what motivated you to move from General Secretary to the chairmanship, or what angered you to move. Thank you.
Sorry, can we take one more before General goes on? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good
afternoon.
I think a little bit while for us to get to use of calling him the chairman, because he's been the general of our great party for a very long time. My name is Nadu, but some of my brothers and sisters over here call me the first lady because I'm Nadu Norman. I would like to ask you, Chairman, what was the reason why of this reshuffling in the Parliament? Because a lot of people are saying a whole lot of stuff. You know, Yanum, it comes with the different questions that, oh, they should have waited for a while before doing that. And concentrate in your own house issue. So we would like to know what exactly happened, because this is the first time some of us are getting used to the reshuffling in the Parliament. Thank you very much.
You, Mr. Bill. You want to come this side?
Thank you. Chairman General, thanks for
being in the presence of the press in the United Kingdom. My question has to do with the special report of the Auditor General. It has exposed a certain level of boldness in abusing the public purse by certain, there seems to be a certain disregard for limits in the extent to which people abuse the public purse in ways that we haven't seen before. Historically, things that led to uprisings and coup d'etats in Ghana, the scale of corruption today is much more. Now, often when the reports are presented, there is a public reaction, uproar. We talk about it. It goes to Parliament, Parliamentary Committee on Public. Yes, they do their engagements, and then subsequent to that, we don't hear anything. Now, what is the strategy of the NDC in making sure that this particular, development does not suffer the same routine of being talked about and then going into oblivion, and people don't get to hear about it again? Thank you.
Okay. I guess we have 4 questions now. We can attempt to deal with them, and then we can take another batch. Somebody is asking about how fragmented the NDC is following the reshuffle. NDC is not fragmented at all. It is still a very united party. The truth about every decision is that every change comes along with new gainers and new losers. So you definitely will have some reaction. But the change has been welcomed by majority of NDC membership across the country. And I guess even here, I was greeted with reshuffle. So it has brought some new excitement on the front of NDC. So NDC is not divided at all. And the reports about 70 MPs signing, a resolution and all that, they are not accurate at all. We heard about 70 MPs, then later we got the number reduced to 40 MPs, and eventually the press conference was attended by 25 MPs. And a lot of them, even at that event, were calling to assure me that they were there to witness what was happening and not necessarily associating themselves with the move. And as I was leaving Accra, there were a couple of MPs who had called into media houses to dissociate themselves from the move, even though their names were in the list. And so that is that about it. NDC is not fragmented at all. I've already explained the motivation for the move, even though we are not bound to explain anything. It is not a normal practice for leaders to explain the reasons for their reshuffle. But NDC being democratic, and personally, I always want to, account for decisions that I take. So when I take any decision, I try as much as possible to let everybody understand why those decisions have been taken. That is why I went to the extra length of explaining the reasoning. The truth of the matter is that after every election, we set up a new leadership of our parliamentary front because some MPs lose out, others come on board, and so on. So we look at the talents that we have, and based upon that, we establish new leadership. That has been the practice all over. This leadership ought to have been reshuffled somewhere in around March 2021. We actually proceeded doing that. We came to a point, and I came out to explain to Ghanaians that because of our court case, we didn't feel like proceeding with that work. And I indicated clearly that it was work in progress, and that somewhere along the line, we will come out to indicate to Ghanaians who our next leadership will be. And so I'm surprised that people were surprised about the move, because if you check my press briefings, somewhere in March 2021, you will see a video I made. I spoke at Joy FM and at City FM, and I indicated that the sorting out of our parliamentary leadership is work in progress, and that whenever we are ready, we would actually come out and announce the results. And so that is what we have just completed, and we've announced the outcome. And I've come out to also explain that during my inaugural speech as the chairman of the party, I indicated that I was about to do total deployment of the human resources of the National Democratic Congress to position ourselves well towards the 2024 elections. So, establishing the type of leadership you need to go into battle with in Parliament is part of the deployment or redeployment. And so we are not finished yet. From here, we'll move to do several appointments. You know, the position of National Treasurer and National Deputy Treasurer are done by appointment now. We have 2 National Vice Chairmen to be appointed. We have all directors to be appointed, and disciplinary committees and many, many other committees to be appointed. So the work is not done yet at all. And then we'll take a second look also at the membership of our Council of Elders and fill in vacancies that have been created as a result of the passing of some of them. So there is a whole gamut of appointments that will be made. It's not just about Parliament. So we are proceeding along those lines. And so that is it. Now, when you take a look at Parliament, you realize that at any point in time, leadership is chosen based on the circumstances and the tasks ahead of us. The leadership that we have just changed, they've done their part. We needed them. At the time we chose them, we felt that they possess the skill set that could meet the challenges as at that time. And they've discharged their work creditably. Now we are facing new set of emerging challenges. And so it's only reasonable to go for a new set of leadership that possesses the skill set that will be able to discharge the responsibilities that have emerged because of the changing times. Today, every Ghanaian knows that going into 2024 elections, the key battlegrounds have already been defined, and they have to do with the economy and the finance of the country. They will have to do with the energy sector, and they will have to do with infrastructure or lack of it. And so if you are going to go into battle, you need your experts in these areas to lead the charge. And so that is what we've done. Arguably, our best person in Parliament as far as the economy and finance is concerned is Dr. Atuforsen. He used to be with you here. And so we picked him from here to Parliament, and he has not disgraced you at all. He has shown that actually he was trained in Great Britain, and he's been performing creditably well. And so he was identified as the person to lead the minority in Parliament now, and to lead the charge against MPP as far as the discussion of the economy and making proposals for better economic management are concerned. So we needed him at the forefront. And then we chose Ama Kofibua, who was also trained in the US and has been our former Minister for Energy. And so very well versed in matters concerning the energy sector. And so he's going to be he is now your deputy minority leader. And then another UK trained young man, Kwame Agboja, who was also picked from here. He has also done so well in Parliament, and he is now your new chief whip, minority chief whip. And so these are some of the reasons. But of course, even though these are the main reasons, there are other, if you like, advantages that have come alongside the changes. The new leadership reflects more of a regional balance than it used to be. And then also, you see that we have about 4 swing regions in the country. If you lose those swing regions, you cannot win elections in Ghana. Western region is one of them. Greater Accra is one of them. Central region is one of them. And then Brong-Ahafo is also one of them. And so when you take a look at the spread of the new leadership, you see that we have, if you like, a general lead in each of the regions. Kofi Amabwa is representing Western region. Dr. Atuforsen, Central region. You have Ahmed Ibrahim, Bron region. And then Honorable Doyo Ganza representing Greater Accra and all that. So the leadership as far as regional balance is concerned is more balanced than it used to be. So that is it. I've been asked about the timing, and the timing appears to be a concern. I'm yet to be convinced what is wrong with the timing. But we believe that that is the best timing for those changes. In fact, we were running late with the changes. As I've told you, we needed to have done these changes as far back as March 2021. We've delayed for almost 1 year now. And the closer we got to elections, the more difficult it will become to implement such changes. And so we think that that is the best time to go ahead with the changes. A few concerns that were raised about the timing had to do with the impending parliamentary and presidential primaries. And I guess they will not be impacted at all by the changes. One of the persons who has been changed, Dr. Aveji, is not going to come to Parliament again. So it doesn't matter whether you have primaries or not. The outgone minority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrusu, he's so powerful in his constituency, he's almost always not contested at all. I have my doubt whether anybody will contest him. So the only one person who would be contested is Muntaka. And we didn't think that this change will affect his fortunes one way or the other at all. And so we felt that this is the best time to undertake those changes. If the concern is about the primaries, no, the advantages we gain by expedition far outweigh any little concerns that people have about the timing. And to tell you what, it is always better to do the changes when Parliament is not in session. Why? Because after the announcement, you need 1 week or so to be able to effect other consequential changes before Parliament goes to sit. So if Parliament closes today and you announce the change this evening, tomorrow morning there will be chaos, because you have to change the sitting arrangements. And it is not a simple thing. You need about 1 week to work out new sitting arrangement for the MPs. So that is part of the problem. The other is that you need to look at the committees and their leadership. Those who have been appointed were ranking members for some committees. So in their absence, other people would have to fill the vacancies. So you need time to do all these things before Parliament goes to sitting. In fact, in March, one of the reasons why we couldn't make progress was that after we had planned the changes, everybody was expecting that the key leadership will be in Ghana before the announcement. Around that time, President Mahama had traveled. So the argument was that, oh, the time is not right. Let's wait for President Mahama to come so we proceed with the announcement. The time President Mahama returned, Parliament had opened. And so the next argument was that let's wait for Parliament to go on vacation. By the time Parliament went on vacation, a new argument came that we have been overtaken by time, so let us keep them there for a while. You know, so it never got done. So there is no perfect time for any such move. Whatever the timing is, somebody will find something wrong with it. And you realize that even when we were about to announce this one too, President Mahama was not in town. So if people still were arguing that because President Mahama was not in town, the implication is that he has not been consulted and all that. So whatever the timing is, people will have something to say about it. And those who are claiming that nobody has been consulted, I want to tell them that this is one of the most, the decisions over which there have been the most consultative process. Everybody who needed to be consulted was consulted. But the decision is our decision. The decision cannot be the decision of the people who were consulted. I hope that is clear. If you have a responsibility of taking a decision, you take your decision after the consultation. So don't go blaming those people you have consulted, because each of them will give you their views. And then you sit down to synthesize the views, and then your decision may reflect some of the wishes of some of the people who gave the advice. But eventually, it becomes your decision. The suggestions are mere raw materials for the decision, but the final product is your work. And so, as a leader, I take full responsibility for the decision. And I don't want anybody to blame anybody at all for that decision. I take full responsibility for the decision, and I believe that I've done all the necessary consultation before taking that decision. And the only group we did not consult was the caucus, the parliamentary group. And it is for good reason. If the exercise was going to be done after an election, then there is nobody in charge. You are now going to look for an identified talent for the new leadership. But if you are going to take a decision which will result in the removal of leadership, how are you going to call them and say, come and help me to remove you? Nobody does that. No president consults with his cabinet about the decision to change members of the cabinet. And so it wasn't practical for you to call the leadership. Are you going to meet the caucus without the leadership you are going to change, or you are going to meet them with the leadership? And who controls that meeting? So in such matters, you take the decision and inform them and justify that decision. And that is what precisely we have done. And we are meeting the caucus on Tuesday. And we believe that they will understand the reasons why those decisions have been taken. I have heard also that some people are questioning the method. And I asked them, let them tell me the method which we have flouted. You understand? Such decisions have never been taken at National Executive Committee meeting or Functional Executive Committee meetings. There are consultative processes that get the list, and the list is announced. So if anybody is asking for the minutes of NEC or the minutes of FEC that approve that decision, let them produce the minutes of NEC or FEC that approve their own appointment. So we can then produce the minutes of the NEC or FEC that endorse their removal. So the decisions have been taken, and we believe that these are the decisions of the National Democratic Congress. Thank you very much for and, well, the Auditor General's report on COVID and the boldness in abusing the public purse. You know, impunity breeds impunity. And if impunity gets to, if you allow impunity to have its way, you can generate more impunity. When people begin in a democracy to do things that are not democratic and they are not questioned, they get emboldened and do worse things. And so that is what President Akufo-Addo has been doing. He's been doing the things that you have allowed him to do in bits and pieces, and is getting emboldened and doing those very things in their worst form. Elections constitute the auditing period of politicians. So all the things that are happening now happened in the first term of Nana Akufo-Addo, albeit not to the same degree. But they claim you endorse them. So if you endorse them, it means you are encouraging them to do more. And that is what they've done. During 2020 elections, the cry was 4 more for Nana, 4 more for Nana. And so you gave him 4 more. In 2021, I indicated to you that you asked for 4 more. You are still in 1 more, and you are complaining. You wait and see whether when you get to 3 more. You see where we are now. We are unable to pay our debts. The country has been officially declared bankrupt. We are still 3 more. We haven't gone to 4 more yet. So wait and let's get to 4 more. And you see, we are now talking about haircut. Maybe during 4 more, we'll be talking about head cut, not haircut. Now you are cutting the hair. Maybe the head actually will be cut when we get to 4 more. And so that is that. The Auditor General's report, in the past, it used to be the case that after the Auditor General produces the report, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament takes over and invite people who have been indicted for questioning and so on. They do their recommendations to Parliament, and after parliamentary approval, the report ends up on some shelf. This had been a concern for all. In fact, when I was in Parliament, we raised this concern and decided to push forward for prosecutions or some further action to happen after the Auditor General's report had been approved. The biggest reason why we are not able to make the necessary, take the necessary action is that Ghana's parliament, unlike the UK parliament, is that even though reports carry the same weight as High Court judgment, in the UK, because the House of Lords also serves as the superior court, immediately some action is taken there, they can proceed from there to get into punitive actions. In Ghana, Parliament cannot sentence people. So Parliament will pass the resolution. Everybody says the resolution carries the weight of a high court, but nobody arrests anybody and put him in any court because there's no such direct link. So we've been thinking about how to do prosecution in courts following a report from the Auditor General. That is where we are now. I have served on this Public Accounts Committee for 12 years when I was in Parliament. And the biggest challenge has been that the way the interviews are conducted at the Public Accounts Committee, the report becomes very, it becomes very difficult for a docket to be built from the report for the purposes of successful prosecution. So that is what the auditor, the Attorney General's department had been complaining about. So our suggestions have been that as a country, we should begin to develop the capacity of the Public Accounts Committee to include even prosecutors who are specialized in proper investigations that can lead to prosecution, to come and participate in the work of the Public Accounts Committee, so that the relevant questions and relevant information could be sought, so that by the time the Public Accounts Committee completes its work, you have a report based upon which you can build a docket for the prosecution of the corporates who have been identified. So work is being done along that line. But in the meantime, civil society organizations have also gone to Supreme Court to enforce the clause in the Constitution that empowers the Auditor General to surcharge anybody who has been identified for messing up with public funds to recover the amounts that have been so spent. The previous Auditor General, Domolevo, started issuing the surcharges, and it was bringing money. But quickly the government kicked him out. This new Auditor General, I guess this report is about the boldest attempt for him also to do something to recover these amounts. I don't know whether he's going to issue a surcharge on the people who were involved in the mess. If he's able to issue the surcharge, then the surcharge can be enforced in court and all the monies can be recovered by those who have misapplied, the funds. So even if they are not punished, they are asked to vomit the monies that have been messed up. So that is where we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe another set.
Because of time, two more questions. Because of time.
Thank you very much. I will keep it. There's about 1,022, but not a single one is come from Mansa Musa. I'm here rather to first and foremost congratulate you, Chairman General, for your appointment, for your winning, and everything else. I have to say this to you, that your ability, your ability, that capability to make things work has never been in doubt. And so, as they say in East London, it's no rest for the wicked. We know you are going to excel in this new job. Yesterday, talking about other things, I interviewed Murtala Mohammed. In the end, I asked him, if all what you are doing fails, you don't get what you want, what do you do? Refreshingly, he said, well, we will just, be submissive and work with the elected people, which is so good. So all what I want to say is that, Mr. Chairman General, as they say in Akan, rather, I will say this one. Thank you.
Adam.
Okay. My name is Jefferson. It's about the parliamentary election guidelines as regards foreign people here who want to contest parliamentary seat. The issue of you being in a branch for 4 years to qualify and foreign people are exempt. I want to get clarity. If you come to UK and you join a branch and you are not 4 years, are you not able to go back to where you come from and go and contest as a member of parliament? Thank you.
very much. In fact, I wanted to ask that question, and he has done justice to it. So thank you very much.
The last question. This will be the last one.
Thank you. Good afternoon, respected comrade. I'll be fast. Good afternoon, Chairman General. We'll continue to call you General. My question is, you've taken time to unpick the reasons for our frontline new elected leaders. Understood. You've made a couple of times. I would like to know from you, apart from reshuffling and getting on board to carry the dreams forward, as a chairman, what are your priorities in terms of the party after the reshuffling? What priorities would you kind of like talk us through a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're not taking any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are hard pressed with time. Well, I was available all along, but we kept being informed that the press wasn't ready. So that's how come when the gathering is getting more interesting, we have to close. Thank you, Mansa. I'll come for conversation. As for this one, I was invited, so I didn't plan to come. When I come, I'll find time and we'll come for more conversations. The guidelines, 4 years. The reason we exempted our international members is that they cannot be 4 years in those constituencies, but they must be 4 years here. So as for the 4 years, you can't dodge it. Otherwise, if somebody wants to contest, he will come from Accra and join the party here after 1 week. Then he will go back and tell them that he's exempt because he's a UK Ireland branch member. So if you are to qualify, you must be 4 years. And we will get the UK Ireland branch here that the person who is coming to contest there has done 4 years here as a member. So the 4 years is standard. There's another area of worry about the tightening of this citizenship qualification. In the past, we had adopted a more loose interpretation of the clause. The Constitution stipulates that before you qualify to be a member of Parliament, you must be somebody who does owe allegiance to another country. And so we felt that it didn't say you cannot contest. It said before you become a member of Parliament. So our interpretation was that at what point do you become a member of Parliament? You become a member even after you have been elected. You are a member of Parliament elect and not a member of Parliament yet. So it is after your swearing in that you become a member of Parliament. So we understood the difficulties of our members outside. Because if you are here, no Ghanaian wants any other person's and any other country's citizenship because they want to be American or UK citizen or anything. First and foremost, you want it because you want to earn a living. And so any day you want to be a Ghanaian. So taking another country's citizenship is more of economic reasons. So if somebody is holding another country's citizenship and he wants to be a member of Parliament, he hasn't gone through primaries yet, and you say yield that citizenship. When he yields the citizenship and loses the parliamentary primaries, what happens to him? It becomes a problem because he's not employed there as an MP. He cannot come back here. So we were we adopted a very flexible interpretation that let the person come and contest the primaries. Let him even go and do the main election. But before he's sworn in, he must demonstrate that he doesn't owe allegiance to any other country. And then he can now proceed to be sworn in. And that was how Supreme Court, during the time we were in power, that was how Supreme Court had interpreted the laws. I remember Alaji Jaula. He was chief director, top civil servant. And even though the Constitution bars civil servants from participating or getting elected to parliament, he actually took leave and contested Damongo on the ticket of MPP. He lost and came back and continued as chief director. Under President Kufuor, nobody sacked him. The matter went to court, and the interpretation was that he was not yet a member of parliament. So he continued to do the job till he retired. So we all followed that interpretation. But the Asin case, because they wanted to reduce our numbers, they then, when the same Supreme Court now went and changed the interpretation and was now saying that even filing of nomination is part of the election. So by December 7th, when the election was happening, Kwesin had a certificate of renunciation. So he wasn't a citizen of any other country before the election took place. Yet the same Supreme Court is now saying that as at the time of filing of nomination, that is the beginning of the election. So if his renunciation certificate had not been received at that time, then it meant that he was guilty and so on. So because of the new interpretation, we also have to adopt it so that as at the time you are coming to contest, you must prove to us that you are not a citizen of any other country. It is not our wish, but that is the interpretation of your new Supreme Court. And that is why we are all complying. My priorities in Parliament is to see our parliamentary caucus working together and also cooperating with the Speaker of Parliament. Why did we struggle to get an NDC person elected as a Speaker of Parliament? There are certainly some advantages, and those advantages can be tapped into when your leadership is cooperating with the Speaker. So we cannot have a situation where MPP leadership is cooperating with the Speaker and our NDC leadership have challenges cooperating with the Speaker. And if you are given a party whose leadership in Parliament is not working together, what will you do? You make the changes or you resign. And I'm not about to resign. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you to the press. We've had it all. We've all got the answers we're expecting from no less a person than the national chairman of our party. I think we know what he can do, and indeed he's done it once again. Unfortunately, we cannot carry on because of time, because we've got a main program on the other side of the road, and we all want to make our way there. Because I've been getting the banging from the officers that we need to go. So thank you all for coming. The press is still around. I'll meet with you guys. But let me introduce to us some of our national executives who joined us while the media interview was going on. So we have in our presence our Deputy National Women's Organizer. We also have in our presence our Deputy National Treasurer, the President of Parliament. Thank you. Thank you. We'll meet at our side. Thank you.
Hello.
We need to answer, Sana.